There's an argument of, is does science lead technology or does technology lead science? There are people who argue that science sort of follows technology because if you look at the Industrial Revolution, they argue that James Watt was not formally trained as a scientist, or Bessemer, who improved the discovery of steel, was not a scientist. And so they say science only later catches up with technology and just explains it. But that misses the point that, first of all, those discoveries, James Watt was working in a university, and the inspiration for his improved engine comes from him talking to a scientist about latent heat. He discovered, oh, there's a heat even though there's not change in temperature, and that led him to make his mechanical improvements. Same with Bessemer. He was not formally trained as a chemist, but his dad was in the Academy of Sciences. His dad knew Lavoisier, who discovered oxygen. And then Bessemer's discovery, when he talks about it, he says, oh, I realized that if I blow air which has oxygen, it will interact with carbon, oxidize it, and take it out. And that comes directly several or decades later after the discovery of oxygen, knowing who discovered it and knowing the chemistry of how fires work, to argue that you improve the steel, you remove impurity by blowing oxygen, and oxygen interacts with those things and removes it. So there's a reason why those discoveries, this improvement happened now at that point and not 1,000 years earlier, when people were already making steel. My point is, of course, it's a combination. Entrepreneurs lead the way, inventors, sometimes it's more formal science. And also those examples that they use, they don't mention batteries, which came from scientists studying frogs' legs, lasers, semiconductors. All those things followed from science. Like to make an engine, maybe you just needed to understand a little bit what happens when you burn stuff.